Great to have a chance to speak with you as we speak. I'm in Toronto. Where are you right now?
Right now, I am in Edmonton, Alberta. I play a show tomorrow, so yeah, that's where I am.
What's the weather like down there? Because I don't know if you know about Toronto. We get rain, we've got sun, we've got like muggy weather. It can be everything these days.
Yeah, it's actually really nice out today. It's been really nice for the last few days, so we are very blessed.
Well, you are going to be coming down in this region. There is so much to talk about with you. We got music videos, we got albums, we've got. Can I just jump right into it? Let's talk about Boots and
Absolutely.
Hearts.
Yeah.
How does it feel being part of such an iconic festival in Canada, one of the biggest, and of course, it's all about country.
Oh goodness, it's such an honor to be able to play this festival. I've been wanting to play this festival for a really long time, and I was supposed to back in 2020, but then obviously, that whole thing happened, which we don't want to talk about. But I'm really excited to be able to play on the stage again this year, and it's going to be so much fun. I just love that festival. I've been there before, and so I'm really, really grateful and excited to have the opportunity to play it again.
Now, what day are you playing, and what time, if we know that right now? And also, what's the show going to be like?
Yeah, so I am playing on the Friday, and I'm doing I'm going to be playing on the tent stage. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot of songs off of the brand new album called Outlaw Poetry, and it's just going to be super fun. I can't wait.
How does it feel when you are down there and it's not just seeing so many great Canadian country artists, you're also meeting up with a lot of great American country artists from around the world. They're all here. How does it feel knowing that you're mingling around with all of them? And do you learn from being part of something like this?
Yeah, I think the biggest, it's really super inspirational to watch the other artists' shows, because you can really learn from some of the best, right? How do they do their show? What do they say? What are the moments that they do? And so, I really take it, I don't take it for granted to be able to be at festivals with big artists, because they got to be that big because they're so good. And so, hopefully I can have a show that is entertaining, as like I always try to make my show as entertaining as possible, but also I try to learn from other artists that come through as well, because they are the best of the best for a reason.
There's so much that they can learn from you and your career and just your life. I was reading off of the bio and I'm just going, wow, Disney needs to call you and do a whole movie just on your life. You are very inspirational. I want to jump right down to growing up. How did you end up growing up country? Why country music? What was the love of it?
I mean, I grew up in a really rural area in Saskatchewan. And so, my both grandparents were farmers. My grandpa raised buffalo. He lives on a ranch, has like a ton of land. And so I grew up super country. My family, both sides, loved to do music, and they loved country music, of course, and always played it. I'm pretty sure they were playing it for me in the womb. But my mom was a singer, and my grandpa was a singer. My other grandpa played fiddle. So country music was very, very a very big influence in my life, in my family's life. And we used to pick and grin around the campfire at family gatherings. And so, I think it was pretty much just, I was born to sing country music.
Did you say your grandparents raised buffaloes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I've never really come close to a buffalo, and they would probably scare the you know what out of me. What is it like for you growing up? And I don't know, you could be riding one of them for all I know. Like, what was that like?
No, definitely did not ride them. Definitely
Mm.
there was some pretty wild experiences. I've watched my grandpa had to like jump a fence because he was being charged by a buffalo. So they're definitely not tameable animals in my experience, anyways. But it was really cool, obviously, getting to see them like grow from little babies and, be in the pasture. And, we were always at my grandparents' house. So they're a really majestic animal. And it was really cool to watch growing up.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. What's also cool was, did you win a songwriting contest at 13, or am I mixing things up here?
Yeah, it was a just a talent competition. It was
Don't confession.
my first talent competition that I won. I'd been in talent competitions since I was like 4 years old. So
Mhm.
it was my first one that I had won, and it was I was so flabbergasted because I'd been in so many competitions like leading up to that I never won or never got into the finals for. And they called my name, and I was daydreaming. So I didn't even hear them call my name. They had to walk over to me to hand me the prize because I was like, oh, they handed it to me. And then I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it was really cool. I was super surprised. But yeah, that was the first one that I won. I have won a couple before, but like a couple after that, but that was the first one. Yeah.
Ah, that's amazing. Um, Growing up, I mean, you talked about your family being such strong uh inspirations with music and of course in a rural area. But when you were listening to radio or whatever you were listening to, who were your other inspirations that were performing and out there performing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so I love Shania Twain and
Mm.
Martina McBride and Faith Hill, Leanne Womack, all of those artists, like the greatest, country, in my opinion, the greatest country female artists, of that time, anyways. And I mean, my grandpa also used to play me like Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn music, so I really had a good variety of country music to be inspired by.
Just curious, have you had the chance to meet any of those heroes of yours yet?
No, I haven't, not yet, but hopefully one day. I did actually meet Miranda Lambert one day. I was living in Nashville and I was out at a bar and it was late and she was just standing there and I got to meet her and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a fan. And she just kind of looked at me like, leave me alone. And I was like, I'm sorry. I love her as well. She's so great.
Yeah, that was probably when she was going through all those family problems. We'll leave it to that. But
Right.
I will say this: I've met all of those people that you've spoken about. I've interviewed them. They are all amazing. And the one thing I've always said this 1,000 times: what is it about country artists? To me, are the best with fans. And what I mean by is, and I will say this, like you can have the biggest country artists in the world performing somewhere and they will say, okay, my bus is right out here. I'm going to go sit out here and I will sign every autograph and take every picture after this show. What is it about country artists that know how to connect with fans?
I'm not too sure really. I know a lot of country artists have had pretty humble upbringings, like Lainey Wilson. She grew up in a small town and, I think maybe having that country experience, I don't know, maybe that's kind of cheesy or whatever, but I do think that, living in a small town and kind of growing up super down to earth, um, maybe gives you a little bit of that. Maybe you just kind of inherit that. But I've definitely heard that there's lots of pop and rock artists that are grounded
Oh,
and
yeah.
super friendly as well. But I think yeah, it seems to be like a lot of almost all country artists seem to be very approachable and very friendly with their fans and stuff. And maybe it's because they've had a super humble upbringing. Maybe that's part of it or something like that. I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I would take away from that.
Yeah, no knocking any other genres. I've been doing this for like 35 plus years, and it's always been the country artists that I find the most, and I'm using that as a whole genre, the most friendly. You, of course, like I said, a big inspiration. You dealt with some tough stuff in life, and I'm talking about the C word, cancer.
Yeah.
What was that like dealing with that growing up?
I mean, I was 17, almost 18 when I was diagnosed. And, nobody wants to hear that, right? But I think it definitely really changed my perspective. I was always a very positive and determined person, but going through that experience and getting to meet so many incredible people that some of them didn't make it out of that experience. And so, I really kind of took being able to beat cancer as I have to follow my dreams because there's a lot of people that I met that weren't able to. And and I met a lot of incredible people that, you know, had big dreams. And so it just definitely made me appreciate life a lot more. It made me understand why I wanted to do music. And, you know, it made me never give up.
No, definitely not, especially when it comes to CCMAs. You've had some success with the CCMAs recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I was nominated for a uh, Roots Album of the Year with my last album, and then I won a Discovery Artist Award back in 2017, and I was at on the Sirius XM Top of the Country. I was in that program as well, and so yeah, it's definitely the CCMAs have been very awesome to me, and I'm going to be playing actually this year at the Legend Showcase at the CCMA, so I'm really excited for that.
Fantastic. So, we talked about more about even though we brought up Shania Twain, we're talking about the American country artists. So CCMAs, which I've covered many a time, what was it like for you now as a, and I'll use the term youngster, walking in and now you're seeing the Canadian legends? What was that like?
Oh, so cool. I mean, I grew up listening to Patricia Conroy, and my mom used to sing her songs all the time. And, you know, I walked right past her and I turned around and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Patricia Conroy. I walked over and I was like, I just want to say I'm such a huge fan of you. And I think she was a little taken aback by it, but I mean, so cool, you know, so cool. And I'm really excited to be a part of this Legend Showcase because there's going to be a lot of incredible artists playing that show. And it's just going to be awesome. I can't wait.
So when you talk about meeting these people and how excited you are, how does it feel now that it's almost like let's do this in reverse? Now you're getting artists and fans who are coming up to you and reacting the same way. What's that like to be on the other side of the fence?
It's definitely a little shocking, I would have to say. You just never really expect it or, you know, are prepared for it, but it's definitely very flattering. And I'm super grateful that people, you know, more and more people are liking the music and coming up and just being so awesome. So it's just, it really is a cool experience, I have to say. I'm very, very grateful.
I think the coolest experience is the fact that you keep releasing music. Let's get to this part. You have a new album out. Congratulations with that. So I always like to make this official. What is the name of the new album and how does it represent your time, your career right now?
Yeah, the album is called Outlaw Poetry. And, you know, it's all of the songs that I've been working on since 2017, probably,
Hmm.
with one of the songs. I think from one of the songs I recorded was from way back there when I wrote it. And you know, when I moved to Nashville for a little while, I lived there for 5 years. And I really, when I moved there, I really wanted to figure out, you know, who I was as an artist, what I wanted to say, and how I wanted to say it. And you know, I wrote with a ton of people and really kind of found my group of people that we wrote really well together. And it's just been, you know, outlaw poetry is, you know, paying a little bit of homage to my upbringing, with, you know, my grandpa being like a rancher. And he's always kind of, I always say that he should have been born in Texas because he's like a straight up cowboy. And, you know, it's kind of really everything. This album is everything that I've always appreciated about country music, and what I've taken away from some of my idols. So, you know, it's definitely country throwback, but with a little bit of a modern twist. So I'm really excited about this record. It's the first of kind of my new sound that I'm creating, and I can't wait to show people what's next.
What's next is you have a new music video too, correct?
Yeah, the new music video is called Heaven Are You Listening? We filmed it actually in a church, and that's also off of the record as well. But yeah, this song was a song that I wrote by myself early or later last year. And I was so, you know, I was kind of like, I mean, I guess it was earlier last year, and I was kind of like, okay, you know, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? I was feeling a little bit down, and I always try to connect with people, at least on, you know, on an emotional kind of sad level, um, for at least one of the songs off of something that I release. And you know, my friends say I like to make people cry, and I don't like to make people cry. I just like to make people feel like they are being heard, you know.
Hmm.
And So this song is kind of more of an emotional song, but I think it's super relatable. And the music video is almost at 300,000 views for being a new video, which is
Wow.
pretty good. So yeah, go check that video out. I'm really um, excited about that music video.
Now we know you're going to be at the CCMAs. We know you're going to be at Boots and Hearts. Are there any other dates coming up throughout the summer and heading into fall?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Brampton on the 16th of August, Brampton, Ontario, for a show. And then I'm going to be out in Alberta for the Pinoca Stampede this weekend. I'm going to be playing BBJ. So it's going to be a really busy summer. And then CCMAs. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited.
Before we go, just curious because I love asking this question because even though it's summertime, a lot of artists record holiday songs around this time. Any chance we're going to have a holiday song from you when December rolls around?
Well, I'm not sure, possibly, but I do have a couple actually Christmas songs that I've written in the past that I would love
Ah,
to
cool.
get out one day. But there's no plans yet, but I'm not going to say no. So we'll see. We'll see, maybe.
Fingers are crossed either way. Look, have a great time at the CCMAs. I'm not going to be able to make it down there. I will be at
uh,
Boots and Hearts, but I'm going to be there on Saturday, not Friday. So that's why we wanted to make
oh,
sure we did this interview. But I'm looking forward at some point in time in meeting you in person. Congratulations with all the success. Have a great time at Boots and Hearts. And thanks for the gift to us, your new album.
thank you so much for having me. Have a great time at Boots and Hearts as well.